Now I've had the Thar Roxx with me for about a week and I've been driving it all over Kode, and I've been putting up a lot of shorts and videos as well across social media and my YouTube channel. But having said that, the one inquiry that I'm getting a lot of is what's different between the Roxx and the 3-door apart from the obvious. So in this video, I'm going to get down to answering these questions and taking a look at what makes the Roxx so different from the Thar that we've come to know since 2020. So let's get right down to business. To start with the obvious, the Roxx is much bigger than the 3-door, but the change actually runs more than skin deep. Now I'm not going to get into the details about design elements because that's really clear to you and I'm quite sure you've seen all the reviews out there. But what I'm going to be talking about is underneath all of this sheet metal is the fact that the Roxx actually rides on a completely new platform as compared to the 3-door. Now the 3-door was based on the Gen 3 platform, and the Roxx gets the M Glide platform, which is a derivative of the Scorpio N platform. So completely different, and that's what sets it apart from the get-go. Add to that, the suspension has been completely changed as compared to the 3-door. Now, while the 3-door was a revelation when it came out in 2020, and I absolutely adore it, this is my personal one over here, the Roxx has taken ride quality and all of that to a whole new level with the revised suspension setup. Now, what Mahindra told us in largely layman terms is the fact that they worked extremely hard at getting the frequency settings done. Now, what Mahindra told us in very layman terms is that they worked very hard at getting the frequency settings done. They've also moved out the suspension setup, on the front track and at the back to be closer to the wheels. So the Roxx is actually wider than the 3-door, and that is again the reason that they had to move to an all-new platform. So while they do look very similar in terms of this front bonnet design and all of that, which screams Thar at you, underneath it's a completely new vehicle from the ground up. So that is one massive change. The suspension setup, like I mentioned, you've got the Pentalink at the rear with the Watts link. All of that has changed the way it drives, the way it performs, and the way it handles. So these are some big highlight changes when it comes to the Thar. But before I get jumping about other smaller elements that are out there that make the 3-door so different from the Thar Roxx, there is one design thing that I do want to point out, and it's something that I personally miss and I wish it had carried over to the Roxx, but I'm guessing they're going for more premium here, so they left it out. And that is, you've got this nice Thar badging on the 3-door over here, and you also get it on the wheels, but on the Roxx you don't. So that is again something for me on a personal level. Let me know what you think about it. Should it have been carried over or not? But for me, I believe it should have been carried over because it is still part of the Thar family, and I think that these little bits of DNA should have been there. Moving on to the facts that we're talking about performance over here. Now, while both of them do get the same 2.2 liter M-Hawk diesel engine, and I'm going to be only talking about the diesels right now because both of these are the diesels, and it's the exact same engine. However, the state of tune is completely different in both of them. So in the old 3-door, it delivered about 130 PS of power, and in this one it does 150 plus. So there's obviously a nice jump up in power, a jump up in torque on the Roxx. That translates to it being extremely dynamic when you take it out for a spin. Pulling power is great, the torque band, the torque curve, everything that you want to talk about in terms of details over there. Mahindra has played around with those as well to ensure you get a more linear driving experience with this. And that also brings me to the fact that they've worked really hard at the NVH levels. So that is again another major difference between the 3-door and the 5-door, because with the Roxx and them going for a more premium outlook, they had to get rid of a ton of vibrations. They had to make it quieter inside the cabin. They had to make it feel more plush, and they've actually achieved that by not only just tweaking materials and elements over there. They've done it also by understanding how they're going to control all these other noises from creeping into the cabin, and it's made a major difference. I mean, driving this and then switching to this one over here, it feels like you're driving two separate vehicles. Yes, they have the same lineage, the same badge to a large extent, but again, it feels so different being behind the wheel of the Roxx and how silent it is in the cabin. So that's another standout big difference for me as an owner and someone who's looking at buying the Thar Roxx. Now moving on to the interiors, okay, because this is where I feel that there are a few more changes that really set it apart from the three-door, apart from the obvious of easier ingress to the rear and of course boot space. So I'm not really going to get down to those elements, but I'm just going to be talking about what you get inside from a features perspective that really sets it apart from the three-door. Now the Thar Roxx is all about being a nice premium large SUV for you that also has that nice rugged appeal. But going with the premium touch, the big change is that now you get your power window buttons right up here. You've got your door lock unlock button over here. You've got your ORVM adjusting button over here. So that's again something that's very plush, very upmarket car sedan like almost. Over here I can release the fuel lid now. I don't need to hand over my keys to the attendant like the three-door, which I'll be showing you in a bit. You get a revised steering wheel. This is completely different than what you got in the three-door. While the three-door has a similar layout in terms of the dash design, over here I've got a fully digital instrument cluster where I can toggle through a plethora of information and driver aids over there. I've got a larger touchscreen over here, and I also get a few more buttons as well as the drive mode in what is the two-wheel drive diesel automatic version over here. So they've actually kept a familiar look going, but they've also made it more about being people friendly. Another such example are these nice grab handles that you get both up front and at the rear for making it easy to get in and out of the Thar Roxx. But for me, when it comes to the big changes on board, and the one that I appreciate the most is the fact that I get a usable glove box, because that is something that I've suffered with for 4 years now on my three-door Thar. Last but not the least, this being the top model, I get a nice large panoramic sunroof, which is an added touch. I don't know how practical a panoramic sunroof is, but they sure look good and they sure make the vehicle look good. And when you just open up the cloth inside and leave the glass closed, it actually gives the cabin a nice airy feeling. Apart from that, I've got ventilated front seats. I've got an electronically adjustable driver seat. So these are again very big changes that make this more about convenience, more about comfort, and that focus on being just an off-roader is now sort of being moved away from, and you're looking at a more full-blown premium SUV. Now, that was pretty much the big highlights over here. We're going to get into the three-door just to do a refresher course, and let me show you what that cabin was like, because that was the top model when it came out in 2020. Well, this is the interior that I've been living with now for 4 years, and as you can see, compared to the Roxx, the overall layout remains largely the same. But because this came with a plastic roof, I had speakers over here. They were not mounted in the doors. I did have larger bottle holders. The Roxx can only hold a half-liter bottle. Over here I can get a full-liter bottle in my front doors, which was something that I do miss being carried over to the Roxx. But having said that, my glove box was more like a sunglass holder, okay? Because that's about all I can get in here. It was very small and very tiny in that sense. Seats were largely fabric with a hint of leatherite on them, and as you can see, with a bit of wear and tear, they are wearing and tearing. But having said that, largely it was very comfortable. It was nice. Up front, both the passengers had great space, and went with an all-black theme with a little bit of grey dashes to add to it. Power window buttons over here, 2 cup holders over here, and me obviously having the 4x4 version, so I've got my 4x4 shifter, which incidentally on the Thar Roxx carries over if you go in for the 4x4 version. So a small touchscreen, which is now given way to a much larger touchscreen on the Roxx, and I think that looks absolutely brilliant. And you can see that those elements are there, they just look way more premium now. And to sum it up, the final big change about these two vehicles is the very ethos that they're based on. The three-door still remained a true blue off-roader. It was something that was designed to take that rugged Thar appeal and bring it of age. In 2020, this blew a lot of people's minds. I mean, we were talking about waiting lists going past a year for the three-door version. And this is despite a lot of people saying it's not practical, getting in and out is tough, you can't carry luggage in it, la-di-da-di-da. There was a lot of complaints. Yet, the three-door just had a ton of appeal. Now, with the Roxx coming out, which is essentially the Thar 5-door, we've seen that same craze and maybe a heightened level of craze. So while this still remains rugged, it still has the off-roading capability to go along with it, it's gone on to becoming a more premium, lifestyle-oriented vehicle rather than just sticking true to only being a true blue off-roader. I know that when there was a lot of talk about a 5-door version coming out, a lot of people were talking about it just being an extension of this one. They're going to stretch this out, you're still going to have the plastic roof, it's still going to be bare bones basic by and large, but Mahindra obviously surprised everyone by delivering something that really takes the game to a whole different level and sets them apart in what is now known as the C SUV segment, or we're talking about more along the mid-size 5-seater SUV segment. And the Roxx lives up to that standard. I think refinement is right up there, performance is right up there, features are right up there, and it is something that everybody is really keen on getting their hands on. But having said that, the one question I do have, and maybe you can help me with this, is what happens to the three-door? Now for me, I think it should continue, because if you're looking for rugged, you're looking for something that you can really enjoy out on weekends, bash it around a bit and take it out and have something that's not really, it's more personal in that sense, the three-door works. The 5-door, yes, sure, the 4x4 version can go off-roading and probably do the exact same track that the 3-door can. But remember, it's more lifestyle-oriented, it's more family-oriented, and it's for someone who wants to have the best of both worlds. So I think the 3-door, according to me, remains a very individual choice, while the 5-door becomes a slightly more practical choice for someone who wants the ruggedness and the off-roading ability of the Thar, yet a family car. Let me know what you think, and in case I missed out something that you wanted to know about both of these vehicles, feel free to write in, and it is my promise to you that I will answer every question that comes in, as that is what we do here at MotorScribes.